Hello viewers, welcome to TSAT Teacher Training Program. Today we are going to discuss the methodology of English. Today we are going to have discussion on study skills. In this session you will know the concept of study skills. You will recognize the importance of the study skills and also the process of applying them while studying. Before going to take you to the main discussion, I would like to share one of my experiences which I have got recently. One day, one of my neighbors, Ramarao, came to my house along with his son. He looked so dejected and depressed, and also his son. And I asked him, what is the matter? Then he said, he is the cause of my worry, showing his finger to his son. I am spending so much on him, and he is not bad. He is going to college regularly, he is attending classes punctually, he is trying his level best, but I don't know the reason he is not able to secure good marks in examinations. And I don't know what to do. And the lecturers also saying that he is a very nice boy, attending the classes regularly, and he is studying very regularly. I don't understand the reason for this. Dear student teachers, this is not only the problem of Ramarao or any one single parent or the student. I have seen so many such cases in my career as a teacher. Studying very effectively is very important thing nowadays. In this session we are going to discuss how to study effectively. What are the strategies that we have to adopt while studying or while reading when we happen to listen to somebody, or when we happen to listen to the teachers in the classroom or lectures, or even while watching TV or while reading a book. How can we memorize the things? How can we understand them? What techniques and strategies do we have to adopt to become better readers? So study skills have become very prominent nowadays. As you all know, we are living in the era of knowledge. There is an explosion of knowledge, and the information is multiplying day by day with the new inventions in different fields. So the teachers and students have to update themselves, and if they don't adapt certain strategies to become self-directed learners, they will become outdated and they cannot perform. It will be very difficult for them to achieve something. So since we have a flood of information around us, how to select the main ideas from the printed material, or when we are listening to lecture or talks or dialogues or conversations on radio or TV, how can we understand them, how can we memorize them, and how can we use them in our future? So, we are going to talk about various strategies to be adopted by a learner to improve his study skills. So, here are some of the techniques that we are going to discuss today. Number 1, note taking. Number 2, note making, and number 3, summarizing. 4, mind mapping, and finally graphic organizers. These are all some of the important study skills that one has to understand and adapt to become better learners. Now, let us discuss what is note taking. Note taking is a very, very important strategy, and you all know very well, listening is a precursor to speaking and writing also. So, it is an offshoot of listening. So, taking notes facilitates learning by allowing one to become an effective learner. While taking notes, you will stay more focused on what is being said. When you are taking notes, you will be continuously analyzing the text. You will be forced to think rapidly about what you see and hear. Notes help you remember information. Students who do not take notes in lecture will lose information. That is the reason note taking is very, very important. Note taking is not as easy as it appears to be. You need to be more focused. You need to have more interest also. How do we take notes? There are two types of learners or listeners also. We have passive listeners and active listeners. A passive listener can do nothing to note down. So, generally passive listeners, they think that they can remember everything, but it is not possible. And active listeners, they do some exercise. They will work out on the lecture or something. Whenever they happen to listen to something, they work out and they adopt different strategies. So, note taking is one such strategy. So, how do we take notes? You cannot note down every word that is spoken by the speaker. It is very, very difficult to note down every word. If you note down everything, you cannot focus on listening. So, you will lose the essence of listening. And while noting down, instead of noting down every word and every sentence, use some codes, and you have to simplify it. Use certain abbreviations, and after taking the notes, reread the notes and be clear about the need to make notes for the future. It means you must know beforehand why you are taking the notes, for what purpose. Decide the correct sequence of points. Organize the points systematically. These are some of the important things that one has to remember while taking notes. And let us discuss two important areas. For example, when we are attending any other subject class, for example, chemistry, physics, maths, or something else, while the lecture is going on or the talk is going on, we need to note down certain keywords, and we may have to raise certain questions or the questions that are raised by the speaker. we must note down the main idea, dates, details, definitions, formulas, examples, pictures. So in this way we note down all these things, and finally we may have to summarize. Today I have learned these things. So in short, as a summary in 2 or 3 sentences, you must be able to write the essence of what you have written. Then suppose if it is a story, if you are listening to a story, the main things like the characters in the story, the events in the story, the plot, the main dialogues, the problem in the story, finally the resolution in the story, the location where the story has taken place, and important dates and days. All these things are to be noted down while we are listening to the story. Now I just would like to share with you kernel notes. Walter Park, who is an educational professor from Cornell University, has suggested a very, very important tool, and it has become very, very popular in the recent past. And he has suggested for university students and students of undergraduation and other classes. The kernel method provides a systematic formula for condensing and organization of notes. This technique is used to help focusing on what is learned in class by writing thoughts, reactions and responses to class lectures, videos or discussions. Now let us take a look at this scribbling pad. On this pad you have 5 parts. Your page is divided into 5 parts. If you look at that, on the first part you have to write the topic and the main idea or the topic for discussion. In the second part, name, class, date, etc. And third part, which is going to be a very, very important part, where you have to give more space. There you have to write main ideas and dates, characters, etc., etc. And I am going to show you one more slide as to what to write in part 3. And part 4 again, here you are going to write some questions, the main idea here and other things. Finally in the 5th part you are going to write the summary. Now let us take a look at one more slide where what you have to write. Let us discuss. First part you are going to write heading, your name, date, class, subject, topic, etc. The second part you write the topic name. Third is very, very important, where you write the notes, record of the lecture. And the fourth part you will ask some questions and also main ideas, the questions that connect the points, diagrams and other prompts you have to write. And finally in the 5th part you have to write the summary of main ideas for quick reference after the class during review. So these are all some of the things which are related to this kernel notes. So let us look at this example. I mean, it is not an example, but I am just going to give you some elaborate idea about it. For example, let us look at this. The first part, name, date, class, period, etc. And the left part, let's see the main idea, the key question after the notes are completed. Then in the part 3, that is the main part, you will write keywords or ideas, important dates or people or places, and the ideas which are repeated or stressed or the stressed information, then ideas or brainstorming written on a board, overhead projector or anything that is written on the blackboard or anything else, then information from textbooks or stories, then any diagrams or pictures, formulas, all these are to be mentioned on the main area, that is part 3. Then after this, after the class is over, we have to review the entire class, and we will make some questions on what we have heard, and then we will make a summary, or we will write a summary of short sentences, maybe 2 or 3 sentences will be enough. So in this way we will become better achievers, and we can memorize the things, and this review also has to happen every now and then. And then now, while taking notes, it is very important that we should not write full sentences. It is not necessary. So we need to follow certain abbreviations. There are certain standard abbreviations, and you can develop your own codes or your own abbreviations which are understood by you only. And let us look at some of them. For example, thus or therefore. You can see one symbol, between, or, and equal or same as, that is equals to, then definition, does not equal or not the same as, greater than or more than, less than, as against, contrast with. So in this way, let us look at some more. And, before, important or, importance of, especially, example or for example, namely, that is to say, compare, contrast with, it is or that is, without, transfer, usually. So some of the things I have tried to bring it to your notice. And nowadays we are living in the age of SMS, short messages. So we happen to see several such abbreviations nowadays. In the same way, we can follow certain acronyms also. Acronyms also very, very important. For example, WHO, WHO, we can say, World Health Organization. News, for example, it is the best example of acronym. In this way, we can follow certain acronyms in order to condense the information and write it very, very easily. Then, for example, let me discuss with you. There is a story. Suppose if you want to note down this story, when a story is told by somebody, how do you remember this story? For example, an elderly carpenter was ready to retire. He told his employer, contractor, of his plan to leave the house building business to live a more leisurely life with his wife and enjoy his extended family. He would miss the paycheck each week, but he wanted to retire. The contractor was sorry to see his good worker go, and asked if he could build just one more house as a personal favor. The carpenter agreed. But over time, it was easy to see that his heart was not in his work. He resorted to shoddy workmanship and used inferior materials. It was an unfortunate way to end a dedicated career. When the carpenter finished his work, his employer came to inspect the house. Then he handed the front door key to the carpenter and said, "This is your house, my gift to you." The carpenter was shocked. And now in this story, how do you, when you have to take notes, what items or what things you have to note down? First of all, what are the characters in it? And where did the story take place? What is the problem? What is the turning point in the story? What is the ending of the story? And what are the dialogues in it? In this way, while listening to the story itself, the listener has to take a note of all these things. Then he will be able to become a better listener. He can memorize the things, because we should not be overconfident about what we are listening. Sometimes we feel that we can memorize everything, we can remember everything, but it is not very easy. Most of the times we forget many things. As time passes, our memory fades away and we don't have anything to refer to, so automatically we cannot perform, not only in our life but we in our examinations or in jobs or interviews or anywhere else. So that is why note taking definitely will help to become good achiever. Now second strategy that we are going to discuss is note making. Note making can be defined as the ability to jot down important points and prepare notes from books, reports, reference books, magazines, articles, journals or newspaper, etc. It is very important skill to be learnt. It is useful during examinations, interviews, delivering a lecture or presenting a paper at a seminar. Note making is an offshoot of good reading skill. Objectives of note making: recall and remember information quickly. It means we can recall and remember information very, very quickly if we make notes. Then understand the text in a better way. It is helpful to gather information in key points of all the subjects. It's a mirror of a large text. Taking notes will help you extend your attention span. Then what are the objectives of note making? We can save lot of time, and large text can be condensed or compacted. The condensed text can be enlarged. 20 pages become 1 page and 1 page note can be enlarged into 20 pages. This is the facility of note making. Now process of note making. What is the process that we have to adopt while making notes? First of all, we should underline the important words and phrases. We should write down points without fully extended verbs or numbering them as you do. Combine related points. We should group related points. Change the verbs to nouns and begin points with items. And number the points. Whatever the points that you have made, that have to be numbered. Then read the text carefully. Be full of doubts to ask a number of questions related to the text. Be lovable to these questioning words. Questioning words: who, what, how, why, which, etc. Use a sieve of filter to filter your information in different categories. These are all some of the things that we have to remember, and apart from this, some more ideas we can remember. As we have already discussed, the different codes and abbreviations, acronyms are to be used. In the same way, here also some of the things like abbreviation examples, capitalized initial information, for example UN for United Nations, MLA, BSc, MP, USA, etc. Taking the first two letters of the words, for example practical, we can say PRAC, or otherwise education, EDU, etc. Then taking the first and the last two letters of the word. Administration, for administration we take ADMN, and now periods we can say PDS, and symbols that are universally recognized, for example we can say EG, therefore example, etc. So arithmetic symbols, percentage, plus, minus, and greater than, less than, of course some of them have already been discussed in the earlier slide. So anyway, we have to adopt certain strategies, codes, and short forms in order to save our time to record more points in less time. Then some more points also we can discuss. For example, we can give a format, like a format example like a title, the main points, subpoint. For example, 1 main point, 1.1 subpoint, 1.2 subpoint, 1.2.1 subpoint, and 2 main point, like this. So give points and their numbers so that we can easily remember. And while making notes, let me give you one more technique, that is SQ3Rs approach. Of course we will discuss about this in a detailed fashion in the next slide, but I just give you the overall idea of it. For example, S stands for survey. It means whenever we happen to read something, we just flip through and lay out. We'll just have a glance at the entire passage. Second is questioning. So we need to ask number of questions. Then read actively but quickly. Look for the main points twice through quickly. Then recall main points, facts, and below, and then review. So these are all the, it means survey, question, read, recall, review. These are the points that we have to remember in SQ3Rs approach. So now let's look at one more strategy. After note taking and note making, we have summarizing. Summarizing is an important skill in writing. It enables you to extract the important points from a text and rewrite them in your own words in a shortened form. Summarizing skills are very essential when you are taking note. For example, let us do an activity. How can we summarize? Let us take this activity. Coffee made from adding water to ground cocoa beans is dark brown in color, quite bitter to drink, and is rapidly becoming the preferred tipple of many a person throughout the world. This is the passage or sentence given for summarizing. How do you summarize this? For example, let us see, instead of the whole paragraph, you can put it in one sentence. Coffee is gaining popularity. That is enough. Instead of saying the entire sentence, you can put it in short and in a condensed form, or we can say simply in a summarized form, that is, coffee is gaining popularity. Let us look at once again. Coffee made from adding water to ground cocoa beans is dark brown in color, quite bitter to drink, and is rapidly becoming the preferred tipple of any person throughout the world. So now we have put it in simple sentence, coffee is gaining popularity. That is the essence or the central idea of the summary. Then let us take the feedback from this. This summary maintains the main idea of the original sentence and leaves out non-essential information. We can easily understand. What are the non-essential points? For example, the color and the taste expressed by the relative clause, while the alternative summary reports the color and the taste. It does not give us the important information in any sentence. That is, that it is rapidly becoming a preferred tipple. Tipple is a colloquial English for drink. So in this way, when we are trying to summarize the given text, we should look at the central idea of the sentence. Now, 5-step strategy to study. Now let us see, as I have told you earlier, let us look at SQ3R principle or SQ3R approach. SQ3R approach is a 5-step strategy that can be used while reading any text. SQ3R, as I have already told you, stands for a step constituting the strategy. Reading and recording helps to get a clear understanding of the text and also to grasp the message of the text. These 5 steps in the strategy, when followed sequentially, will help to satisfy the true purpose of reading. Let us look at them once again. S stands for survey, Q stands for question, R stands for read, then one more R stands for recall or recite or write, and finally review. Survey. This is a very, very wonderful technique which is being used by many people and becoming successful. Surveying is the first and foremost step in this strategy. It is done before reading the entire text. It helps to get an overall idea about the topic. It helps to include the pictorial part of the text, tabular representations, statistical or graphical representation of the data, if any, or captions that are highlighted. So surveying means looking at the given text and taking a glance, you can say the bird's eye view. And second point is, we should form as many questions as possible using question words like how, what, when, where, who. So when you question, you can question every line, you can question every word, and when you are able to question, you will get number of ideas from the passage. So your comprehension level will increase. It is a thinking skill. Then headings tries to speak about many issues. Form questions for each issue, and this will develop the eagerness to get the answer for all the questions. That is why we should learn to make questions. When you are able to question the given text, you will get so many ideas and your understanding about the paragraph will also increase. Then after that, read the entire text given under each heading. Be clear with the purpose. Get the main idea from the given text and extract the ideas related to the main ideas. If the ideas are not clear in any sentence, read it twice or thrice, slowly to understand it. So while reading itself, one has to be very, very careful, and reading has to be done twice or thrice or many times to get the main ideas from the paragraph. Then third step, that is recite, write or recall. After reading, after some time, you have to recall the content you have read. Recall the main headings and the basic concepts. Recall the graphs or any kind of diagrammatic representations. Then finally we come to a review. Spend at least 10 minutes every week reviewing all of your previous notes. By doing the above, you will retain a lot of knowledge for further use. In this way, we can use SQ3R principle very, very effectively in order to improve our understanding. And let us discuss one more thing, that is graphic organizers. Graphic organizers provide a visual method of ordering and summarizing information. They help the student to organize disjointed information in a structured way. They facilitate generation and development of ideas, expedite the construction of knowledge, and aid the learning process. They provide active involvement to engage the kinesthetic learners. Graphic organizers provide a high quality teaching and learning methodology for the mixed ability classroom. That is, students with the diverse abilities can work together, where each student can make a real contribution to the overall learning of the group. They accommodate the needs of students with the differing learning styles and intelligences. We all know very well, the children are born with the different varieties of qualities, intelligences. As Howard Gardner has explained, there are 8 intelligences. So how to accommodate, how to include these different types of students with the different intelligences are to be taken care of. So that is why we have to be very, very careful in designing the class. Then mind mapping. Mind mapping is a very important technique nowadays. So mind mapping is one of the most important techniques of study skills, and it is a easy way to improve our understanding of the topic. So we just draw a circle in the middle and draw various branches, or by giving them bubbles, and this is one way of representation of the mind map, which is very, very useful for us. So next, let us see, mind map allows you to take down a large amount of information and organize it in such a way that makes it easier for your brain to remember. Making links between the information and using images and color can contribute vastly to learning and the ability to recall information. So mind mapping is a very, very important technique, and mind mapping is a great way of note taking in class that allows you to show relationship and connections between pieces of information as well as hierarchies of such information. It makes it easy to add in additional information and can show an overview of the topic at a glance. So mind mapping in the present day pedagogy also, it has become a very, very effective tool. Then finally, let us come to one of the important study skills, that is figures. We have different varieties of figures. We have grids and tables, graphs, pie diagrams, bar diagrams, pictographs, fishbone diagrams, etc. So these are very much effective in information transfer techniques. we can make use of these grids and tables, graphs, pie diagrams, etc. We can make the learner very, very effective. For example, grids and tables. We all know very well. We see so many varieties of tables in our day-to-day life. For example, we see railway timetable, we see class timetable, school timetable, and it is very difficult to understand the timetable if it is written in a paragraph or in the form of an essay. Instead of putting it in the form of a paragraph, it is better to put it in the form of a timetable. The same way railway timetable. So these grids and timetables will help us to analyze the information into different parts. Then graphs. We all know how effective these graphs are in decoding the information and understand the given information easily. And for example, in order to study the population of India, graphs will help. How population is growing in our country can be understood very, very easily with the help of the graphs. Literacy rate or anything else, we can use graphs very effectively in teaching of social studies, etc. Then pie diagrams. For example, in order to understand the population of our country, how the population of our country is divided into different domains. In the same way, for example, budget. To study or to understand budget of our country, how the rupee comes and how rupee goes out, this can be compared very, very easily, and with the help of the pie diagrams we can understand the concept of budgeting very, very easily. In the same way, bar diagrams, we all know very well, these are very, very effectively used in our schools also in order to show the results of the result that the school has achieved over several years. So bar diagrams are very useful in many, many ways. And in the same way, maps. We know nowadays maps are very, very important, and maps can be used very effectively. So if you see the map that is displayed on the screen, for example, the literacy rate in rural and urban areas, you can easily compare from 2001 to 2011 how the literacy rate has increased. Instead of reading a passage and understanding it, it is very easy to understand with the help of the maps. So in this way, in this session we have tried to understand the importance of study skills, and all these study skills will help in making us better readers and better listeners. So hope all of you have understood and make use of these study skills and become better achievers. Thank you very much, and I wish you good luck.